Hey guys, this is Gsluke bringing you a preview for UFC 261 on Draftkings, and I'm going to be bringing you guys today my top 4 fighters to target for this weekend, and I'm excited for this weekend. There's some big fights, some big title fights, some exciting prelims and whatnot, and obviously some big contests on Draftkings as well, so let's hop right into it with my players to target this week. My number 4 fighter to target for this weekend is going to be Anthony Lionheart Smith, coming in at $7,300 on DraftKings for MMA. He's opened the week as a pretty sizable underdog. That's why you see him at that $7,300 mark. But as the week has gone by, the line has tightened and tightened as it's gone on. Now, Lionheart Smith sees himself a plus 165 underdog, which is obviously a lot better position than he was at before. So you have some built-in value with his DraftKings price right there. But something I also like is the matchup here. Anthony Lionheart Smith is typically one of the better fighters in the division when it comes to takedown defense. He's hard to take down. He's a big guy, very strong as well. So that's probably the reason for that. But on top of that, he's a submission specialist. So even if he gets taken down by Jimmy Crute, which is definitely a possibility, Crute is really good with his takedowns. He has the submission attempt to either help him get stood up or to end the fight. He actually wins 30%, over 30% of his fights. It's closer to 38% by submission, so I really like that. He also wins about 60% of his fights by knockout, so overall, he has a very high percentage chance to win. If he wins, to win by a finish, which is always good to see. And at that $7,300 price tag, spending that little lets you spend up in a lot of other spots, which I love as well. So he's a moderate risk, high reward play. Obviously, Jimmy Crute is the favorite for a reason, so he could go out, he could win this fight, and obviously Smith wouldn't pay off then, but I really like the reward that he gives you, especially at that price tag. He's a veteran, obviously. Crute is a little bit more of an up-and-comer, and maybe he could lean on that experience this weekend with some of the bigger crowds watching at UFC 261. Coming in at number 3, we have Valentina Shevchenko, coming in at $9,500, and she's one of my lock plays for tonight. So she's a minus 420 favorite, which is a very sizable favorite, obviously, and she still remains an absolute force despite facing Jessica Andrade. So Jessica Andrade is a scary competitor. She's somebody I even considered putting in this video at one point, but after watching some more tape, going through a lot of the fight rules and whatnot, I've just realized that Valentina Shevchenko is an animal, and she's probably not going to lose for a very long time. I think the only fighter in the world that can beat her is Amanda Nunes, and Amanda Nunes is the greatest women fighter of all time. So I think this is a lot about Shevchenko. She's probably a top 5 women's fighter of all time, if not top 3. And again, the odds makers are, you can see that respect with the odds makers. They have her as a huge favorite. And when it comes to a matchup, she's the favorite everywhere. At distance, she's obviously got a huge reach advantage. She's the most technical striker of any of the women in the world, so she's definitely got that in her hat. She also has the power advantage, I would say, from distance as well. So it's not just being able to piece her up. She has some vicious kicks. We've seen her knock women out cold. Andrade has kicks, but they're not as lengthy. And I think Shevchenko is still going to have that advantage. If she does get taken down, I do believe that she will get taken down this fight, but she is a submission specialist. We've seen it plenty of times before. She wins about 38% of her fights by submission, which is obviously great to see. So if she does get taken down, she has that in her hat. So pretty much no matter where the fight goes, she is going to have an advantage. So I absolutely like it. I think she's going to win by KO or submission, probably leaning towards KO, and she's going to be highly owned, but like I said, she's a lock for me. For me, it's a free square. She's going to put up a lot of points. She's going to get that finish, and that's why she comes in at number 3. My number 2 fighter this week is going to be Rose Namajunas, coming in at $7,200. So Rose is obviously a really scrappy fighter. She's a woman who doesn't get finished very often. In fact, she's only been finished once in her entire career. And that was by a freak head slam. I don't hold much credence to that. Obviously, Jessica Andrade dropped her on her head and knocked her out cold. You don't see many women getting knocked out cold unless they're fighting Valentina Shevchenko. And Rose obviously came back the next fight and beat Andrade pretty handily in that decision. And I expect a very similar fight between Namajunas and Weili today. Namajunas is very hard to knock out. Wei Li has, leaned on that finish there in the past, and I don't expect that to be there for her today. Wei Li also hasn't been in many 5-round fights in her career. Many of her fights have been quick, via knockout, or just 3-round fights in the UFC because she hasn't been a champion for an extended period of time or anything like that. And I expect Namajunas, with that experience, she's had plenty of those, featured fights that have gone 5 rounds, even, when she wasn't in title fights. I expect that experience to really play out. I expect her to win in a 5-round decision. She's a plus 175 underdog, and at that price tag, that's going to be more than enough. It's a 5-round fight. She's a high-volume fighter, so you can expect over 150 strikes. She's probably going to have some control time as well. She's very good when she's grappling, especially with reversals and whatnot, so she'll get some points there. And again, she's going to be low-owned. Wei Li is going to be one of the higher-owned fighters. She's good with knockouts and whatnot, but she hasn't fought someone like Namajunas in her career that's extremely hard to knock out, and I think that's going to present a challenge. It's going to make her a good play, and I think she's only a moderate risk because I do think she wins 70-80% of the time, but she does have that mid to high reward, and she could knock out Wei Li. Again, I don't think this is going to happen. It doesn't happen very often. She's only has a couple knockout wins in her career, but if she did, then obviously it would break the slate. So I love her. She's my number 2 pick this week. And yeah, my last pick for UFC 261 is going to be Kamaru Usman, coming in at $9,400. He's by far the best play on the slate. He absolutely mauls his opponents. He hasn't lost a fight in an extremely long time. He's been the reigning champion, for 6 fights now, and he's also put up the most Draftkings points per fight of any champion ever. He averages 118 points now per match, which is outrageous. And with a new DraftKings scoring system, he's actually going to average even more points. If we go back and rescore his contests using the new system, he averages an extra 20 points per event. A lot of that's due to the control time that he almost always has in fights. The only time he doesn't score big in DraftKings is when he ends fights too early. When you get those 5 rounds and he gets all that control time, he's due to put up 120, 130 points. So I love him tonight. He's, fighting Jorge Masvidal, who's obviously a knockout artist and whatnot, but Usman's shown to have an iron chin in the past. He's gotten clocked by some of the most dangerous people in the division that they've seen, and he's been just fine. So I expect him to have a lot of control time. I expect him to put up a lot of statistics and win by decision. And if he happens to win by TKO, again, you're still going to get those bonus points for the TKO finish. He's going to pay off. So he's a lock. I'm going to have Shevchenko and Usman in every lineup. I'm going to have either Namajunas or Smith in at least one of them in every lineup. And obviously I'll fill it out from there in my other spots. So I love those 4 picks this week. That's all for this preview here. So let me know in the comments who you guys are playing this week and who your favorite play is for this slate. I usually stick to, the higher and the lower end, going for that risk reward. And I usually try to mix in more of the 50-50 fights as they're a bit more volatile. But maybe let me know one of those fights that you guys like. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you guys like the video, so you can make sure you can see, when I post in the future and whatnot. Good luck, and I'll see you guys next time.